Welcome to Take a Wonder Shebs. Now, my guest today is Sekou Saunders. In my talk with Sekou, I speak to him about his business, the Destination Club, and how it can give people a meaningful experience when it comes to travelling. All of that and much more. So let's take a look. Sekou, welcome to the show. I really appreciate your time. How have you been?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name again is Sekou Saunders, originally from New York. And my company is called the Destination Club. So it's a travel vacation club / company. We international only right now.
Well, I'll go into your business a bit later, but I always ask where the initial love for travel for the individual started. So for you, where did it all begin?
Maybe the first time I ever traveled outside of America was my high school graduation to Cancun. But then a few years later, I had an opportunity to go to Japan for a concert series. I come from like a music background. Father was an agent. So then we started doing music festivals. So I had an opportunity to go out there, and then it was an awesome trip. Japan to Hawaii and then back to Atlanta. I was like, okay, it's time I see it. I need to get outside of this box, you know? And so, yeah, that's where the love originally started.
Was there anything transformative, would you say, about your early stages of travel?
The culture was different. To be honest, it was funny because at that time, it was, I guess, at that time, now African Americans travel a lot more than they did, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. So at the time, it was like a culture shock because literally people were hopping out of taxis to try to ask me for photos. It was like, yeah, it was weird.
What, in Japan, they were asking you for photos?
Yeah.
Okay, I assume is it because they don't really see many black people? Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. But so there, of course, like the toilets on the floor, like everything was just different. It just changes the way I started thinking about everything. Like from there, even when they went to Dominican Republic, the way like even if you're in a poverty-stricken area, how happy and they are and how strong their family ties are. You know, so it just changes your whole mindset of what's important, you know, and moving forward. And like for me, before I did start traveling, I was really into like material things and possessions, and that kind of faded away as I travel, you know.
I was quite I won't say massively materialistic individual myself, but travel helped me sort of, to be honest with you, I don't really buy too much stuff now, clothes-wise. You know, you wear the same tops, I think the only time I think for myself, I would buy, let's say a t-shirt would be when I go traveling, you know, t-shirt to say I've been here sort of stuff. So I think the materialistic side, I think one thing does with travel, it does make you realize actually what's important, what's not important. And actually, I just wanted to pick up on what you just said there about the culture shock itself when you first experienced when they were wanting to take photos. What did you think? Did you think this is bizarre? You know, it doesn't happen to me in the United States. Did you think that, or did you think? I guess
yeah, it was bizarre at first, but then it was honestly even the energy or I just felt. I want to say like it just, yeah, I don't know, the feeling was different. It was like you were embraced and accepted and in love before they even knew you. So it wasn't like a negative energy and then you have to switch it to, oh, okay, he's cool. Start off with like, oh, positive and great energy, and then so versus my experience in the States and when I'm in new destinations or new areas, new cities.
I traveled to Vietnam just before the pandemic hit, and I was with a friend who was black as well, and they were touching her hair because they hadn't. Well, it was like, and she took it slightly differently, you know. How dare you sort of touch my hair, sort of stuff. But you took it.
Your hair touched anyway.
What's that? Sorry.
I said black women don't like their hair touched.
Yeah, of course. But she took it differently. But so your input was actually no. I feel as though I'm being loved here. You know, it's different to the United States in that. Well,
you know, with social media and the internet, and you know, like everything's changed. So now things are like more common. Like I still have friends that are in certain countries. Like I went to Sweden, for example, and I was in a city that was 3 hours outside of Stockholm, and they've actually never even met a black person before. So that's still a thing, So yeah, but it's just now things have still changed, but now I still, even in America, when I walk in a restaurant, I still feel like, okay, I'm being looked at, eyes on me, especially if it's a nice restaurant, versus like if I'm in another country. But it could just be because they say like, oh, he's American, so it could just be that and not the actual. It could just be the American part and not the fact that I'm a black man. But
Of course, yeah.
the way the acceptance feels different.
We'll come on to your work actually. So, and your business, and I can see you got a T-shirt on that says, well, actually endorses your business. So explain what it is and how did it all begin, and who were the key people really behind it? Was it yourself? Did you have any other people?
No, so the company is the Destination Club. The idea of it is to get away from the all-inclusives, because generally before I started the company, every time I went on a vacation, I always stay in an all-inclusive resort. And it came to a point where I didn't really know where, like literally, you don't know where you are if it wasn't for the staff and the food. You just know you're on a nice beach, a nice resort, but you can't actually appreciate where you travel to. So I went on a trip to Australia, to Sydney, with a friend that I met in LA, and I believe she worked for Sony. And before I came, like everything was laid out what we were going to do. So like if we go to a place, there's no lines, I didn't have to think about anything from the moment I landed to the moment I left. Everything was laid out for me. So it just made my vacation was just completely different. I really got to see the place that I went. So literally after that trip, when I came back, I was living in LA at the time. I went back to LA and I was like, this is how people need to travel and vacation. And so that kind of like really sparked the idea. So I just started from there. I was looking for the first place that I can start the company. And it ended up being Dominican Republic, just because I thought like Dominican Republic has everything and then you get a lot for your money. So I lived there for like 6 months, because there's a lot of companies too that like they just scout online and figure things out without actually going. So I was like, no, I want to at least go. So all of my trips, I go for at least 3 weeks, to really like get a real feel and plan it out in my head what people will enjoy, what they won't, make sure it's safe, everything like that, and then plan everything out start to finish.
Are there any other competitors that are doing exactly the same thing, or is this very unique?
In the last few years, I've seen a lot more pop up for all demographics. But I think still what separates mine is like a lot of the itinerary wise, there's a lot of like free time for you to like, day at your leisure, enjoy your thing and then go have a trip and we'll do a certain amount of things, maybe nightlife one day, maybe an excursion 2 of the days you're here. So, but for mine, yes, it's all this. So from the moment you land, airport pickup to hotel check-in, welcome dinners, I try to find and we explore. So each country is different. I try to add 2 new destinations per year because I get a lot of people that come back on another trip. So the idea is like, hey, let's see the world together. So I don't want to move too fast and then they miss too many destinations. And then you're able to build like relationships with new people. Because a lot of times when you travel, like I've waited on friends, they say, hey, let's go. But then when it's time to put the money down, when it's time to travel, something happens. So for mine, I want to say maybe even women, maybe like 30% are solo travelers. But then, but on the next trip, they'll end up maybe coming back with somebody that they met online. So that's always cool, or even to see them hanging out in America, even though they live in different states, they met on a vacation and then become real friends.
There's a cost to all of this. So obviously the business has to make some sort of money. How competitive are you with your rates?
I'm actually priced the best out of all the my competitors, as you say. Yeah, when I go on, because now I have a certain idea of what everything costs. So when I see prices and when I look at the itinerary, I can see like, okay, I know this costs this, this costs this, this costs this, and then you see a gap. But I am a smaller business, so it does make sense that people's prices could be higher if they have a staff of 20 people. Then you have payroll. Versus for me, since like I said, I was in music festivals before here, and even event management, and I always when I'm hired, it's just a fee, a line items of what the things cost, and then there's a fee at the end. So my price points is the same way. I don't upcharge anything. And one of the perks is, for example, like if I'm doing trips to Dominican Republic or lately in Tulum, or Greece, like since they know I'm always coming, I get a better price point. So on excursions, if you would get it for $100, I get it for 80, and I give it to my clients for 80, not the 100. So even though I have a fee in there, my prices on everything else are lower, so it averages out where if you were to go by yourself, you would have paid the same amount without even with me adding my fee. You get what I'm saying? So price point wise, you're getting a better price, and I'm laying everything out for you, so you don't have to do any of the work of finding it out. Because that's the worst too. Like I know people that have traveled to certain destinations by themselves, and then travel with me and say like, this is a completely different trip. Like I didn't even, yeah, like I didn't know this existed, or the energy of this group was way better. Like I came here by myself and I had a way better time with y'all. So, and I get that often.
What makes you different to like a well-known tour company?
Honestly, I haven't. I believe other ones are boring. like one of our hashtags is no boring vacation. So like we literally have fun. So it's not. And there aren't any other tour companies that do nightlife as well. So I do actually also incorporate nightlife. So it's the full. It's not just a culture trip. It's not just from like the really fly restaurants to cool excursions. So like in Greece, I just did a trip to Dubai. Like we had like a 92-foot or a private yacht. So we have like really high end excursions as well. A couple of ladies did jumped out of airplanes, skydiving. I'm scared of heights personally, but I guess anything you want, we can set up. And then people always start to like either come a few days earlier or stay a few days later, and then we plan that for people as well. So like, and we have different levels. So say for example, if you want more of a VIP experience, we set that up for you as well. And then we also do private trips. So say if you're not into wanting to hang out with new people, you just want to come with you and your personal friends, we do that as well.
What type of members do you look for? Are we talking about people in the luxury field, budget, sort of in between? Well, what are we talking about here?
5 or 6 years ago, we started off more budget,
Right.
but then at the end of the day, I don't want to shortcut it because I want people to get the right experience. So we've raised a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily say luxury. That's more of our private trips.
Mm.
For these is more. I mean, and mind you, this is all relative based off of income or what you're willing to spend to travel. But right now, I think we're in the perfect like our Dubai trip, for example. Right now, the double occupancy is about 1,700 for 5 days, and that includes like 5-star hotel for 4 days, welcome dinner at a high end restaurant, desert safaris, nightlife, table service for one night, all transportation. Like you get a lot for your money, So it's like literally, I have somebody that just traveled with me to Dubai last month, and then they're coming back in November to Dubai again, like not even a different destination because they like no, it's just an awesome time, and I want to do more.
Do you have to be a member for a year, 2 years? What sort of membership?
Yeah, so
how does it work?
The membership is more just to make sure because I truly believe in energy and positive people. So what I'm saying, same mindset. That's more of like we're all on vacation together. We're bringing it in, so we just want to make sure we're all positive. So the membership is just so I can know who you are. So there's no like quote unquote randoms when you take them out the country. So it's kind of like I'm like the doorman to make sure like, okay, yeah, you're cool, let's go. But we have different levels of membership. We have a higher end one where, because like I said, everything's included. But say if you land and you don't want to do the hotel transfers, you want private transportation. So that will be included. We have a referral program that's included more of the higher end. But then we also have a free membership where it's just like, just introduce yourself. We just need to know who you are, where you're from, what you do for a living, blah, blah, blah. And then come on, let's go. But yeah, that's more of it. And then, like I said, we do want to. We have like a family, so we do want to know who everybody is, and even our website, like we have like our version of Instagram and becoming friends and having chat rooms and stuff like that. So that's included in our membership. But it's not. You don't have to pay to be a member. And as soon as you're a member, we started by referrals, like who you. obviously when I started the company, it was just people I knew. So we went from there to take it to word of mouth, to take it to, now outsiders. But even now, if you go on the website, like you can't just book online. You have to talk to us first. So that's another thing I think that separates us. You can't just, no, anybody can't just book online and say, hey, I'm coming. Like you still have to communicate with us, and then we have to send you a link in order to join us on the trip.
There's a bit of I guess, a family feel before anyone comes along. So you don't, and sometimes if you don't speak to that person and they come on the trip, they might think, well, it's not actually what I've actually wanted.
Yeah, I want them to be exactly.
So they know exactly what they are going into before they travel over. And I got the feeling, so do you do every single one of these trips yourself? So you're part of this trip?
I host every trip.
So, wow, okay. So,
I left that part out.
Yeah, no, I was thinking then. So, with it growing, I think obviously there's there for it to evolve, where you maybe hire more hosts. Would that be the case? Is that what you're looking to do potentially?
I already have 2 hosts in mind that, when necessary, they already started coming with me on trips. So when necessary, if I can't make it, then they can host. But so far, because this is a way for me to travel as well, because I love to travel.
Of course.
so far, no, I'm going on them all. But by this time next year, then yes, I'll have other people hosting as well.
Yeah, of course. I think you want to expand, don't you? Where the business is, you could be in a position where it's making the money, the revenue is coming in. You don't necessarily have to worry about, because obviously as time goes on, you might not want to go to the same places over and over again, depending on your family situation.
Delegating and trusting people to do it, since this is my baby, that's always rough. There are constantly people that come up to me and ask me if they can work with me and they want to do it. But even the people I picked one person has been on like 6 of my trips. So they know exactly how I operate. They know what I like, and they can do it as well. Another person is actually from a field. I used to be a brand manager for an experiential marketing company. So I would do tours and manage events. And they were one of the people that was one of my associates. So I know that they know how to do it. They know their energy is always great. They can pay attention to everything, make sure everybody else is in great spaces. So that's somebody I trust to come on as a host as well.
I've been on tours with quite a few big companies, and if the tour guide or the host isn't great, then the entire tour can be a disaster. So picking someone with a bit of charisma. I think you've got to have a bit of charisma if you are to do a gig like this, and picking the right one. I think you made the right call in terms of if they don't. Well, I think depending on time on how big you come, getting them trained up to the way that you want them to do a tour or do a trip, I think is really important for the brand equity, really. So you don't want to lose out on that. Hang on a second, it used to be great, but now since the hiring of staff or hosts, I should say, it's sort of gone downhill.
We have certain events that we're going to start bringing, that's larger events and event-based trips. But for what we're doing now, we like our average of 25 people max. Like we don't like.
So 25. That's quite a big group.
Yeah, well, I think for us so far that's the perfect number. Like I think 10 is a little too small, and then anything up like our Greece trips we have 40. That's for me, for people to get the right experience and to get the right amount of attention that I want everybody to be able to receive. So I think about 25 is like the perfect number where, because then, of course, in that group of 25, everybody isn't going to be on the same page either. So you can find, because you see people form their groups, as far as like.
Yeah, clicks between a group, yeah.
Like, we like to party, or we like these kind of dinners. So, hey, we're gonna hang out, or they really do bond friendships right there.
Is that something that you actually would like, though? Would you not want them to sort of all be in it together? Or it's just I guess it's going to be happening, isn't it? If someone forms a clique, it's inevitable, isn't it? And I can tell you from experience, even from small groups of 15, you tend to meet 5 and you think, okay, these are my 5 that I want to hang out with.
That will happen on day 2, and then on day 4, they've clicked up with somebody else. Like it happens. But yeah, so our trip sizes are on average about 25 people per trip. 60% women. 60 is always about 60-40.
Why do you get more females traveling?
Women travel more than men. Like that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Even when I first started, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. That's just the way the numbers always pan out.
How have you coped during the pandemic? Assuming it's been a bit of a challenge for you.
So 2020 was rough. We ended up just not to go back and forth with people and have to cancel anything like this. We ended up just taking away all of our trips 2020. So our first trip was New Year's. That was our first trip back, and it was it was rough because actually our biggest trip to date. Earlier I said like we were starting like event trips, space trips would be larger. So we went like 100 people on different spaces, and we set up a trip in Bali
Okay.
for Memorial Day weekend 2020, and that was hands down our biggest trip. Like I think I made a comment about it on our Instagram and briefly, and that we had 75 people sign up in the first month out of the 100. That was our goal. So
Bali wasn't open, was it, at that time? Was it, or
Bali closed,
Bali
but they were
closed?
open.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were doing trips to Bali in 2019.
Okay.
But yeah, but in May 28th, I think it was going to be our biggest Bali trip. So that was rough because we had Bali
Yeah.
lined up. We had a huge Greece trip lined up. Our first Dubai trip was coming. So and then of course when that happened now, and everybody wants a refund, obviously, because they're like,
Yeah.
hey, we can't go. And we're a small business, but none of the properties, nobody was giving refunds. They were all offering credit.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So, and I understand, especially if you're in a smaller or Caribbean, they're like, hey, if we give everybody a refund for these 8 months, we're shut down. So it made sense, but it was still stressful, to have to relay that message to a couple hundred people, what's going on. But I think the fact that it was memberships and a lot of the people have traveled with us before, they knew like I'm 100% transparent with everything. And then so we offer partial refunds and then a credit, which at this point I want to say maybe like 80% of the people have used on trips that we've already done since New Year's.
Was there a worry then that potentially it could be disastrous if people wanted full refunds and the business itself?
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, like it was stressful times, but then knowing like, okay, but once this is over, people are going to be really ready to travel.
Yeah.
So whatever you're going through now, everything will come back 100% or more once we're able to travel, and that's what happened. Once New Year's hit, like I'm still getting emails like, hey, when's the next trip? Blah blah blah, or where's the next? Where are the list of destinations? Do you have any new places? Like we're ready. Like we have to get out of here soon. So so it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. Like obviously we're still going through it. And even like I mentioned, Bali, like they listed that they were going to open a few times and they didn't. So we should just try to focus on places that are 100% open right now.
Yeah.
And I'm always scouting.
The people, obviously, we talked about there's a lot of women, 60% women.
Mhm.
Are your customer base mainly from the United States, or have you got people from all around the world?
Unless they were referred. Like if they're like, hey, I have a friend coming from, I think it was London. But yeah, right now, all of our promotion, even when we market, is just to United States.
Assuming you want to expand and get people from around the world going. I mean, obviously, that will mean, as we talked earlier, you would have to start getting more people involved in the business.
Like that's actually what I've been working on for the last 3 months, is just getting things ready to scale it and grow it and take things to another level. I was just content and happy with the position that I was at. But then, yeah, but it's time. It's time because everything is working, so it's like, hey, if you're happy, because my goal has never been to like grow or make a lot of money, blah blah. My goal is in life, or like a lot of people say like, hey, I want to build an empire, blah blah. Like I just want to be happy, So and free, to do what I want when I want. That's always been my goal. So, and right now it's there. But since I do have people that want to get into this career path and get to the game of traveling, and so it's like it's only right. Like, it just, as long as it makes sense and feels good, then I'm open to
Any challenges that you faced whilst you've been on this venture? I assume there has to be a few obstacles that you've come across.
it. I've come across a few. I mean, it was, and then even obviously at the beginning, it was rough because I actually, my first two trips went very well as far as sales, and then my next two was embarrassing.
Okay.
Like,
Why's
yeah,
that?
I had three people.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so it was like, yeah. So at that point, because we're everything, just to give people an idea what to expect, are we post everything on our Instagram.
Hmm.
So we have videos of our trips, pictures from our trips. Like, you can, if you on it on our Instagram page, you know what our trips are about. So yeah, so that was. Um, I mean, since I've been doing this for 6 years, I don't know if I definitely learned from the challenges, but then I tend to like not think about them so much. So even when you brought that up, I know I've had plenty throughout the years, but like, for some reason, off the top of my head right now, I can't even think of too many outside of COVID. I think COVID was such a big one. All the other ones, turned into minuscule of a challenge. So I can't even think of those anymore.
And just away from the business, just I'd like to know a little bit about you as well, as a person. Obviously, I asked you where the travel started, but just explain it in words. What does travel really mean to you?
It's just being to appreciate what we have. Like the world. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, so I was came coming up in like the '80s where people don't even leave Brooklyn, not even to go to Manhattan. Like, that's your bubble, you know. So being able to, like, so it's kind of, I think traveling is important, and I kind of think like, if you don't, it's kind of disrespectful, or it's an injustice to the opportunities that we have. It's like having building an amazing house for your family and kids, and then they've never even seen the house. They've only seen like a one room in it. So you have all this, but you only see one room. But no, you got to get out and actually experience everything. And then and then even that, it just, for me, traveling has changed, built my character, and other people that I know have began to travel. Same thing, like, from who they were before, where they started, and who they are now, and they say no, it's because I actually got a chance to see and understand and experience new things. So like, I just put, yeah, that's everything to me. I'll put traveling over it. Like, I remember I came across a woman once, and she wanted to travel. She was like, when we were talking about, she wanted to book, and she was like, yeah, but that's a bag. Like, she was comparing it to a designer bag. It was like, there's no way that something that you just hold on your shoulder can compete with the experience that you're going to get from getting it on that plane and experiencing the culture of another city, because you are who you are from what you know. So if this is all you know, you're not giving yourself a chance to blossom at all.
It's completely changed the way you view life. As you said, at times you were materialistic, but now that's completely gone. You're just comparing the bag to because actually sometimes you can buy a bag which is more expensive than the actual vacation itself.
Yeah,
So,
we're talking about a $1,500
oh wow,
bag.
well, there you go. I would rather have the destination and enjoy, and because you can't really beat memories. I mean, because I always say to people, when they ask me what does travel mean to me, and that is the nutshell itself. So you could buy, let's say, a bag or a car or whatever, but then the memories that you make from all the travel and the friends and whatnot,
Yeah,
you can't change. I mean, it makes you, as you just said, it makes you who you are, really. So,
yeah. Everything I have right now came from there. I met my wife traveling. I have two new best friends from traveling. My other businesses that I have started from traveling.
mm,
Like, everything that I have right now came from that. You know. So I basically like owe everything to traveling. Everything I have, I think, comes from traveling.
mentioned that you got married, and you know, I guess something that could slow it down is family. So I guess you would have to incorporate everything into your travel into your family life. Has that ever crossed your mind in terms of what
Well,
could
that's why
happen to the
when I said,
business?
yeah, when I said a year from now, we're thinking about this because yeah, now since we are talking about children and blah blah, so it's like okay, maybe I do need help. I just yeah, like I said, I just love doing everything myself, and then hiring like contracting people for certain specific things when we need help. But just bringing somebody on board and trusting them, like, hey, to just do this. That's just hard for me right now. But I'm gonna open up. I'm gonna open up to that.
Away from your work and business, I guess,
Mhm.
do you have much? I guess the music stuff is your one of your big hobbies. Have you got anything else that you like
Yeah,
to stick to?
yeah. I'm excited for live entertainment to come back. Basketball, but now I feel like I'm always getting hurt playing basketball. So I actually just took up golf. Yeah, I take lessons now like once a week. I had no idea this game was so hard. So and I caught the bug quick. So I've been doing it for about a month and a half. So yeah, playing golf, and then I'm actually from traveling. I feel like I need to learn another language. So I'm actually taking Spanish lessons as well now, a couple days a week. So that'll be the first, hopefully, second language I'll learn.
I'm gonna leave it there. I want to thank you for coming on. Before I let you go, can you just let everyone know where they can find you?
Our website is thedestinationclub.com. And then our Instagram, which is where we promote or show most of our things, is at the Destination Club.
Well, I want to thank you again for your time, Sekou.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Okay, have a good one.
A thoroughly enjoyable discussion with Sekou, and if you'd like to use the Destination Club for your next travel adventures, please do get in touch with Sekou. All of the details are on your screen now. That's it for Take On No Shebs. Hope to see you all very soon. Until next time, bye for now.